What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends, the Astonishing Ant-Man, Ant-Man and Stinger 2-pack. What we're going to do now is take a little break, get these guys out of the packaging, and then we'll go on to the rest of the review, so sit tight, everyone. So here we have Stinger and Ant-Man posing out of the packaging. Now this is a 2-pack from Toys R Us. Unfortunately, they don't really come with any accessories. The only thing that they really do come with are Stinger's wings, which if you have the Wasp or Beetle, you'll know how these wings work. You just peg them onto the back and they do have a hinge on them. Unfortunately, they don't come with little miniature versions of each of them. That would have been really nice, or even an alternate set of hands. And Stinger just takes a while to get standing. So what we're going to do now is have a closer look at their details. So sit tight and we'll move one of these figures off and have a better look at either Ant-Man or Stinger. And so here we have a better look at Ant-Man, and I have to say, I really do love the way his helmet looks. I don't know what it is about it. I just love his overall head sculpt. The paint apps are really well done. The red is fairly clean for the most part. The eyes are actually really good. One thing I do like is that the helmet and his head are two separate pieces. I'm pretty sure if you can see right here, you can see that the flesh color and helmet are not one piece, they're actually separate pieces. Pretty sure that if you were to pull off this helmet, you'd see somewhat of a face, not complete, but you would have a face underneath there. And I have to say, really loving this torso that they use for Ant-Man. It is exclusive to Ant-Man. They haven't used this torso before. I can tell because this is actually sculpted onto the upper torso. And you can see this one actually has like cloth texture sculpted into it. You can see how his suit actually folds, which is a really nice touch. Really loving the red and black, although it's not the cleanest paint apps that I've seen. And you can see where they obviously use red plastic and red paint. The red plastic is actually much brighter and looks much nicer than just the red paint, because you can see some of the black bleeding through, or it is a little bit sloppy. Going on to his belt, you can see they did a really good job sculpting his belt. Again, a really unique piece for Ant-Man, and I'm really glad that they did go all in with this Ant-Man figure. He actually has a unique torso that we haven't seen on a Hasbro Marvel Legends before, which I really do like the way that turned out. And I believe his lower torso is also unique. His legs we have seen before, with the exception of his knees, where we do have these silver gunmetal knee pads sculpted on. A little bit of paint error here on mine, but I can get rid of that, no problem. And like I said, not the cleanest paint apps on Ant-Man, but it's still better than nothing. Really liking the way this figure came out, and like I said, there's just something about this face that I really do love. So with Ant-Man out of the way, let's have a closer look at Stinger. And here we have comic book Ant-Man posed next to another comic series Ant-Man, the Walgreens Ant-Man, and of course the Ant-Man from Ant-Man and the Wasp. And it really looks nice seeing Scott Lang's comic book adaptation and his movie adaptation right next to each other. You can really see where they get some inspiration. So let's actually move on to Ant-Man's articulation here. He does have the standard male articulation for Marvel Legends. If you don't know what that is, let's run through it really fast. He does have a ball joint in the head, although when I did get mine, he had a really loose head joint. Like, I couldn't... If you recall my Iron Spider review, I could move my finger on the back of his head and it would rotate. He had the same issue, but I did fix it with a little piece of cotton, and his head is actually tight now, so I really do like that. So he does get some up and down movement on that joint, left and right. He has a hinge in the neck, which lets him look up about that far, down about that far, and no sideways pivot, unfortunately, which it might be the cotton in the head causing that. He has a butterfly joint, which lets his arms go back about that far, come forward this far, arms on a ball joint go out. They do a full 360. Swivel at the bicep, double jointed at the elbow, although you really don't get past 90 degrees, it's just slightly. He has a hinge in the wrist, which moves forward and back, and we get a swivel in that. He has an ab crunch, which goes back about that far, clicks forward about that far, waist swivel, no problem, legs go forward, back, and out. He swivels at the thigh. He is double jointed in the knee, which works no problem. He has a boot cut swivel, so if you're want to get a little additional range, you can do that. Foot hinges back and forth, and we have forward facing pin for rocker ankle. So let's actually move on to Casey Lang's comparison with other figures. So let's move Ant-Man off screen. So here we have a better look at Stinger, and I have to say, she's a really adorable looking figure. Just like with her father, Ant-Man, you can see that they did use two different plastics for her helmet and her face, which, again, loving the fact that Hasbro is starting to use different pieces of plastic for that. It really does make the world of difference. You don't have any bleeding on the face, and you don't have any bleeding on the helmet, and it just overall looks better, in my opinion. Her helmet is really well done. You can see the eyes are really nicely painted and vibrant, which you would expect them to be. The antenna made of a softer plastic, and the mandibles are actually really cool too. Really, I think I like her helmet design more than Ant-Man's, but that's neither here nor there. Again, we do get these wings that we have seen on figures before. If you have Beetle or Hasbro's Wasp, you know exactly what you're getting into. They do have a hole right here where you're supposed to plug in a secondary set of wings, but Stinger here does not come with any alternate wings, so she just has the two wings, but it is really nicely sculpted, so that is really nice. Her costume is done in this really nice purple shade of plastic with these black outlines painted. Really would have wished that they had used a silver disc for her shoulders so it wouldn't break up her sculpt or the paint apps so bad. I don't really like it when they paint over the disc, because then that causes joints to freeze and lock, and you don't want that. But you can see how vibrant that silver would have been if it was on her shoulder. And you can see, I'm guessing that's one of her launchers right here on both sides of her hands. One glaring issue I do have is this right here. You can see these two purples don't really match, and the reason for that is this purple is actually black painted purple, and I think one way they could have got away with this is if they had actually molded her thigh in this plastic and just painted the black, because as this stands, it looks terrible. Really, really terrible legs. I'm actually inclined to just clean all that off and just have black thigh-high boots, I guess you would call them. There's really nothing special about her legs, though. They are just done in a black plastic. But still, overall, really nice. And as you would expect, Stinger does have an issue standing if you don't get her just right. If you have the wings folded too far back, she becomes back heavy and falls over. So you gotta find that perfect balance for both wings to get her to stand. Once you do, she stands perfectly fine. So with Stinger out of the way, let's actually have a quick comparison with other figures with Ant-Man and Stinger. And here we have a quick size comparison with Stinger next to X-23 and with the Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp. So really good size comparison there. So let's actually move on to Stinger's articulation. She does have the standard female articulation with one added benefit. She does have a hinge in the neck which lets her look back really far, looks down quite a bit, and we do get some side to side pivot on that joint. We also do get left and right, and a ball joint which provides pretty good range of movement there. Arms on a ball joint go out. They do a full 360. You just gotta watch the placement of the wings. If you have her wings back, they're gonna do a full 360. If you have them slightly forward, obviously they won't. She has a single bend in the elbow, which gives us a little better than 90 degrees. She swivels at the elbow, has a hinge and swivel at the wrist, so that works pretty good. She does have a hinge and swivel here in the wings, so you can actually have her wings all the way back, quite a ways forward, have them going up or down depending on how you want to have her pose, which really does help out with standing and posing. She has a ball joint in the torso, which only goes back about that far, only goes forward about that far. We do get some side-to-side pivot on that. We have a swivel at that joint. Nothing in the waist. Legs do go forward, back, and out. Swivel at the thigh. Do have a little bit of play on that ball joint right there. Double joint in the knee, which works really well. boot swivel, which is pretty tight. I do like that. Hinge in the ankle, which goes back. It's neutral and forward. And you don't get... This leg you can do everything, but on this foot it's just back, neutral, and forward. Nothing else. But we still get the forward-facing pin for rocker. So overall, still a really good set. Really glad I was able to pick this set up. So what we're going to do now is take a little break, get her posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. So sit tight, everyone. So here we have Marvel's Ant-Man and Stinger posed for my final thoughts. Overall, this is a really nice set, and I'm really glad I was able to find this set. I didn't actually pick this set up at Toys R Us. This was actually found for me by one of the members in one of the collecting groups I'm in on Facebook. They were able to pick this up from Toys R Us for about $30, which was a pretty good price. That's about what I paid to get this set from him. And like I said, this set would have been even better if they included miniature versions of Ant-Man and Stinger. However, I am willing to overlook that, seeing as how this is one of the final Toys R Us exclusive figure sets that we're getting. If you can find the set at Toys R Us, I really recommend you pick it up, especially seeing as how a lot of Toys R Us are at the 50% off on all figures. If you can't find these guys at Toys R Us, don't fear. Online retailers are picking these up, and you will be able to pick these up on Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth and other online retailers. With that being said, guys, I'm King of Dragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other Marvel Legend videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments. And if it fits in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.